We're back and talking about the Pacific Standard article, why women aren't welcome on the internet, and sort of all the questions about online harassment that it raises. Nancy, I want to get you in here.
Well, you know, it's so funny. I mean, among other things, I'm a woman. I love being a woman. It's hard being a woman. It is just hard, all right? And CBS pays me because they value my opinions, which is lovely. And you have me on for the same reason. If your opinion isn't something that matches up with people, I'll say men for the most part, because I can't believe other women are saying the kind of things back at us. The kind of sexual, violent imagery, the kind of attacking on how you look, how you smell, these really vicious things that just are exponentially over the top and beyond the pale. It's fascinating. As a woman, I wouldn't say something like that to a man that I disagreed with, but the vitriol, it's astounding. Yep. It's shocking.
And Amanda, I've found when those moments happen and you're suddenly being attacked, sometimes it's the one person who is obsessing over you and then you're just getting that. But sometimes it's also kind of broader sort of tidal waves of it. And I find it to be very triggering. I find that sense of that what we are told to do is what rape survivors are often told to do, which is don't say anything. Because if you say anything, right, if you push back, then you are at risk for greater violence, and you are at risk that the people you care and love about will be violated as well. So if people jump to your defense, then they too will and so you just feel like, oh God, I'm gonna go in this corner and hide. And that is that emotion of assault and of survival.
And that's, you know, sort of the paradox of writing the story to begin with. But one of the sort of important things I think to come out of this is that it should not be a problem that women are dealing with on their own, that there are legal institutions and there are technology companies that really sort of have a responsibility to make our communities safe for women.
Is this a Title VII employment discrimination issue?
I think it is. You know, the internet is where many people work. It's where we socialize. And when women are so unwelcome and so harassed out of these spaces, it has a real impact on our livelihoods and our lives. I mean, you know, it is, you know, very comparable to not letting someone have a seat, you know, at the diner, even though it's a private institution, you know, or not letting women into the workplace, even though it might be, you know, a private company. These things, it is gender discrimination, and it's very, very harmful.
So Elon, help me to think through this for a second, because it feels to me like one possibility are a set of new policies, regulations, and laws. But part of what we love about the internet is its relative freedom. It's a kind of libertarian space. But I also worry about just turning the rules of that space back on itself. So like getting other kinds of gang violence, you know, online to mess with the gang violence that is occurring. Like that also feels unproductive to me. Are there ways to protect the liberty, protect, you know, questions of levels of anonymity that we care about, but also somehow make this space safer for people to engage?
I believe so. And the fact is that the companies, the big tech companies, have to take into consideration what people need for their own safety. Like, for example, with Google Plus, they weren't allowing people to have an account without unless they put their real name, not acknowledging the fact that, you know what, some people don't want their real name out there because they don't want those attacks to possibly become real. The tech companies have to actually start to look at how this is happening, what's happening, and try to implement certain types of solutions that can actually allow for conversation. Because no one doesn't want conversation. Because that's the first thing that people want. Are like, oh, you just want to stop free speech. It's like, no, everyone wants free speech. But you know what? You got to see what's being said. And we're talking like around women, and especially, let's be honest here, around women of color. They get the double dose of sexism and racism at the exact same time. So they have to take those things into consideration and not just completely shut everything off, but constantly be looking for new and interesting ways that can allow for the conversation to happen, but at the same time keep people safe.
Yeah, with just 15 seconds left here, Amanda, I do want to point out you made such a strong point that there is that anonymity question. Often women who make their lives in public space are not anonymous online. Our actual names and jobs and places and where we work and often where we live are available, but the folks who are doing the stalking or the harassing are quite anonymous. And it feels like there's got to be something we can do to change that imbalance.
Right. I mean, one of the problems is that, you know, the people who are saying the internet isn't real, it's very easy to say that if you're hiding in your basement threatening people. It's easy to say that if you're a police officer who doesn't want to take a report. It's a lot harder to say that if you're a woman just trying to do her job on the internet. So it's difficult to know how to approach that. On the one hand, you know, police officers don't have a lot of resources or education. Technology companies have all the resources in the world. And I think the problem that you're seeing in both of those places is that they're extremely male-dominated. We look to tech companies to innovate, to sort of bring us things that we never could have imagined. And so I think we can ask them to sort of bring us solutions on this problem as well.
Right, to address this asymmetry with the resources and intelligence and innovation that they have.
Right.
Amanda Hess, Anthea Butler, Nancy Giles, Jill Filopovic, and Elon James White, who of course joined us virtually just to prove the point that virtual relationships exist. Up next, we're going to make a happy moment at the end of this show. The 12-year-old bow tie mogul making a difference in kids' lives. My foot soldier joins me live, and you're not going to want to miss it.